Okay, I got a lot of stuff to go over today in this video. I got 13 cards sold on eBay, 0 on Etsy, 0 on Hip. For the last couple days, I haven't sold anything on Etsy and Hip, but eBay's been doing pretty well, and it always does. That's where the bulk of my postcards sell, is on eBay. So I'll sprinkle those what solds out throughout the video. Then I got a special topic, undivided back postcard. Not divided back with a line, this is undivided back. So we'll get into the details of those cards. Then I pulled another poll from the community tab on the channel that I put up every Saturday. And this one is, how do you take photos of your postcards for listings? I was kind of surprised with the data from this. I thought it would go a little bit more toward the scanners. But we'll get into that. And then I got some viewer comments to go over. About 1 or 2 or 3 of them. And that usually spurs some discussion and gives an insight on what I do and how I respond to those. Let me go get started on what's sold on eBay. First one is a park, just a lake and a park. And this is Lake and beautiful Loose Park, Kansas City, Missouri. Chrome card, there's a bridge, there's a lake. Unposted, $4 to $5. Next one, I did sell some of the naval ships again. This is the USS Haywood. It's an older ship on there. This is one of those larger print cards, a little bit bigger than a Continental, smaller than 5x7. So I have to put it in a 5x7 sleeve and before I put it in the envelope. And that gentleman that bought that also bought the USS America. It's an aircraft carrier. You can see the planes right there. Nice chrome cards, got some information about the ship on there. And that's going there. So both of those will go in the same envelope for under an ounce for eBay standard envelope. This next guy bought 4 cards. He bought the Harry S. Truman, the bigger print cards, which are just like the other one, bigger than a Continental, smaller than 5x7. He bought 2 of those, and it just has the name on the back. Then he must have been shopping in the store, the eBay store, because he found 2 other chrome cards of the Harry S. Truman, and this has a lot more information on there. These are printed by a publisher for the club that I bought these cards from. So all 4 of these cards will be packed up with a sleeve each and put in the envelope, and it should be about an ounce. Might go over because these are a little heavier, but those lighter print cards should keep me under an ounce for 53 cents, and that'll ship out to them. Let me do a couple more cards here, and then I'll get into undivided back postcards. And what are all those about? That type of postcard. When I went down to Florida a couple years ago, we always go to a flea market in Sarasota, just a field that people park in and sell out of their cars. This guy was selling out of his van, and my wife noticed there were some postcard books in there. So I looked at him. I couldn't buy them all. He wanted too much money for the other ones. There was nothing left for me there, but I did buy one. It was, a lot of them were New York Lutheran, and this was one of them. It's an older card, kind of a linen type paper, but it's not linen. It's just Lutheran, Hudson River looking north, Lake Lutheran, New York. It's got some aging to it. It was in someone's collection. Sold $4 to $5. I've sold a lot of the Lutheran, I think, Lutheran, New York. Someone will correct me. They always do with my names. And let me do this last order here for this gentleman, or this buyer, and then I'll get into undivided back. They bought 2 postcards of the University, Laramie, Wyoming. Universities, anything with colleges, universities, and stuff like that. These were 2 cards in the store, listed at separate months or times, and they were able to find them in there. And it does have the little dollar or whatever in a antique booth or flea market. I don't take those off, but these are solid chrome cards. And right here, you know, $8 sale for 2 cards that were in the store that they found, and they were universities. Got a few more cards left to do, but I'll sprinkle those throughout the rest of the video. Now let's get into the special topic, undivided back postcards. And what is this? And I like going over these types of postcards. If you see our video on the eras, so you got undivided back. If we go from the oldest ones that I started, undivided back, then you got divided back, then you got white border, then you got linen, and then you got chrome. Those are the things you want to understand, and hopefully these videos will help you identify those. This is probably one of the easier ones to identify on there, because there's just nothing on it. So let me get into the details. Undivided back. I'm going to give you the official definition right here. Undivided back generally refers to all forms of postcards printed before March 3rd, 1907. And that's an important date in the postcard, U.S. postcard collecting, is 1907. That's when the U.S. postal regulations reserved a card's entire back for the mailing address and postage. That's before 1907, is when the back of the card, you can only put the address on. So after 1907, they made some changes that I'll get into. Now let me give you the simple definition. I kind of just come up with a simple definition. And here's the simple definition. Of an undivided back postcard is a postcard back without a dividing line to separate the message from the address. So basically, it's a postcard back without a dividing line right there to separate the message and the address. And that's basically the modern postcards that we all know of today. Now, I have a couple different postcards here that are undivided back, and their timeline is from 1901 to 1907. That's because after 1907, like I said, the postal regulations, they changed and allowed you to put the address and the message on the back. The first card I have here is everybody's favorite, Niagara Falls. Most of the undivided backs, you're going to see, a majority of them, they're going to have what they call a writing tab on the front where people can write a message. Now, there is no way that I could write too much in there, and that's because on the back, it says right down here, address reserved for the address. It says this side for address. So the regulations for a postcard before 1907 was that you can only put the address. That was reserved for the address. And you had to write on the front. Some people, you'll see some postcards are writing on the picture. It's because they couldn't write the message on the back. And those writing tabs you'll see in there. Now the vignette postcards, we have a video on vignette. The picture kind of goes into the writing tab. It kind of melts together, and that's how you identify the vignettes. But that's one of the undivided back. Now what also people have done, since after 1907, they made that change where you could put, they have a line in the back and you can put the address and message on the back. A lot of people went to an undivided back, even though there's a writing tab on this one, they drew their own lines. So you want to look for that. If there's a line there, is that line part of the printing process, or did someone draw? And if you look at that, someone drew that line and they put the address over here and they finished up their message there. So you'll see that a lot on there. But that's another undivided back with the writing tab. And the last example that I have to show you is the bird's eye view of Lehigh, looking southwest, eastern Pennsylvania. Now this is not an undivided back. This is a divided back. I wanted to show you the line. If you see that line right there, this is after 1907. Now, if you look at it, is this line right in the middle, or is it a little bit this way? They say, and I haven't officially proved it, but they say the earlier cards, the line will be more toward the message side than the address side. So that'll help you, 1907, divided back, and what part of 1907 was it? And they say the line will move toward this. If you're looking at the card, it'll move toward the left on there. So, but that's a divided back. And if I get my fingers right on these cards. So you can tell the difference. This one has no line, only address be on there, and a divided back has a line. You can put the message address and then you put the message. So that's how you tell with an undivided back. Very simple. Look for people drawing lines on there, etc. And again, the timeline was from 1901 to 1907. And those dates can move. Those are just estimate, and there's crossover and a lot of stuff. These were the first cards privately printed in the United States that were authorized to use the words postcard instead of the longer private mailing card. And here's a picture of a private mailing card. On the front, you can see where it says private mailing card. So if you were printing your own postcard, you couldn't use postcard. You had to put private mailing card. And on the back of this one, there was some kind of guy on there, some kind of political or something on there. That's what you'll see. And those are the ones you really want to look for. So, but they were the first cards that you could authorize to use the word postcard instead of private mailing card. A little bit more about the timeline. When they went from undivided back to divided back was a huge step in the demand for postcards and really making it more popular. New regulations ended many of the restrictions required by private mailing cards in December of 1901. So there was a lot of postal regulations in the beginning because they were learning about it, just something new, and they started relaxing those. Most other countries ended the use of undivided back postcards at earlier dates. England was the first to allow divided back postcards in 1902. France followed in 1904, 2 years later. Germany a year later in 1905. And finally the United States said in 1907, you don't need to just put the address on the back of the postcard, you can do the divided back. So that's where the 1907 date came from. We always lagged a little bit behind Europe in the postcards. They always had the good postcards in Germany, then they came over here and they weren't as good. We just bought them all. If you watch our video I just did on the golden age of postcards, it gets a little bit more in depth on there. By making this change from undivided back to divided back, this brought more publishers into the postcard business. So 1905, 1911, golden age of postcards, peaked 1907, 1911. Right there, 1907 is the peak of the golden age of postcards. That's when it peaked and it started going back down. And that was a lot with the war. So this brought a lot of publishers in that could do that with those relaxed regulations, putting the address and the message on the back, allowing more room on the front for a full picture, more room on the back for a message. Still 3.5 by 5.5 cards. The Continentals came later, and those are your more modern ones. But that's undivided back postcards. Very simple to find. You know they're 1907 or before. Now they are duplicated, reproduced nowadays where there's no line in the back, stuff like that. But you can tell a vintage postcard just by looking at the paper most of the time. Undivided back postcards. Who knew? Let me go ahead and finish up a few of these cards that I sold on eBay out of the 13. The next card that sold is a plantation, Felicina. Not too sure west. It's in Plettenberg, Louisiana. Just a plantation. I got in lately, this I just listed this week. It's unposted chrome card, but I did a lot of plantations. Some guy's collection I got had a lot of plantation houses, so I made sure I had the word plantation in the title. Again, I sold another one of these ships. This is the Tutila ARG-4. Larger card, $4 to $5. This card was kind of neat. It's kind of your typical card. I think a little bit of hand painted on there. 1910. So it's right in the golden age of postcards. It's the divided back. These cards, it's just a typical picture of the riverboats down here. And there's some smoke coming out, and it's been posted, so $4 to $5. And then let me get into this linen card. It's Glaciers from Long Lake, Boulder Glacier District, Colorado. It's a vertical card because it's up and down, just some glaciers and a lake. It was posted in 1943 from Boulder, Colorado. So just a linen card. $4 to $5 of some glaciers. And the last card that sold, so we can just keep moving on through the video now, is a train. Now the key I found to the trains is to put the number on the back here. There's a lot of times they'll have number 42 on, like on this one. I put the railroad, train, or something about train or railroad in the title for a keyword, and then I try to put the number of the train in there. But this card sold. I put up a bunch of trains about a year ago, and I think this was one of them. But somebody collects train postcards, and they wanted that one. But that's 13 cards on eBay. $50. I'll take it. It's pretty good. Now with these polls that I'm going to go over here in a second, they go out on 9 a.m. Central Time on Saturday mornings. I schedule them out. They're just questions real quick. And this one was, how do you take photos of your postcards? And I gave choices. The first one was duplex scanner. Next one was flatbed scanner. Your phone, a camera, or other. So right here's the breakdown. 55% said they have a duplex scanner. That's your higher speed, and duplex means it does both sides. So that's your Epsons, your ScanSnap Fujitsus, and they can go anywhere from $200 to $500. So that's your higher end scanners, and you can find them used as well. And I do have a video out there on doing it with a camera or scanner, and also a video on the Fujitsu ScanSnap that I use. But I got two scanners. I got the Fujitsu and I got the Epson. So I use both of them. It depends on what I'm doing. And then 10% said they use a flatbed scanner. A lot of people have printers nowadays that are all in one, and they use the flatbed. Those are a lot slower. They do give good images and stuff, but they're just slow, and then you got to flip the cards over and stuff like that. A lot of people use their phones. They'll just take a picture of the postcard on white paper. A lot of people start out like that because they haven't made enough money or have cash flow coming in to buy and invest into a scanner. And that's fine. As long as they're nice and clear and you can crop them out and it looks good, it'll do its job. You just want to get the image in front of the people. But I always recommend people move to one of those duplex scanners. It will speed up tremendously the time that you spend listing postcards. But in the beginning, if all you got is a phone, that's fine. All you got is a flatbed scanner, that's fine. Then other people used other. I'm not for sure what the other is. They might have some of those other scanners. But I was glad to see that 55% of the people have a duplex scanner. I thought that number would be lower, and I thought the flatbed would be higher than the phone. And then I thought the camera would be higher than the phone as well. So it kind of level sets me on who is watching the channel and what they have, so I can gear some of the videos to that on there. So I'm probably going to do a video about the Epson scanner and the Fujitsu and kind of look at the differences. One is the Fujitsu costs more and is a little higher end with LED screen. The Epson is more of a workhorse, so there will be some difference, but I'm going to try to highlight those in the future when I do that. But how do you take photos of postcards? Who knew? Check out our other polls in there. You can go in there anytime and look at the updated stats. Make sure you kind of fall into the average and see how you're doing. And if there's any questions or anything you would like me to put in a poll, put it in comments, and I'll put a poll out there to schedule to go off on a Saturday morning. And you can go back and see. That's why they said a community tab. I want to share it with the community. Now let's get into the viewer comments. These comments come from emails all over the place, in the videos, conversations, and I try to capture them and spur some conversation here. So the first viewer comment I got was from a viewer, a new viewer. Just found this channel. Wish I found it sooner. You have amazing videos. Thank you. I always like those comments. Sorry if you've covered this, but how do you or any other commentators choose what to list on Etsy? I figure it would be $10 plus cards due to the listing fee, but see $4 to $5. Aren't you worried about them sitting for a year plus and getting killed by fees? So I can break this down. What do I choose to list on Etsy? The same thing I list on eBay, the same thing that goes to HIP, the same thing that goes to Etsy. They're basically all the same type of cards. I don't pick and choose what goes where. I just put them up there. Now I do not put 500 of those naval ships on Etsy. It's just a different clientele there. I'm still testing to see if those will sell over there as much as they sell on eBay. HIP is an automatic sync from eBay when it's working. So whatever I put on eBay automatically goes to HIP, so I don't really choose. I just look and see what sells and pay my bills. Right now they're having some issues ever since the October 12th fall update. They're still working some of that. But I still sell enough on HIP to pay the bills with a little bit of fun money. So I really don't pick and choose what goes. I just put them up. I just, the next card's going to list is going to be this card. Are you worried about them sitting for a year plus and getting killed by fees? No. In the beginning, when you start selling postcards, you might have to carry it. Now, I had a full-fledged toy store, anchor store with toys. Or not an anchor store, but one of the higher stores with about 3,000 items. That carried me when I decided to bring my postcards and start selling them in there. That helped me carry and invest and build that part of the business. And then when it was self-efficient, then I was able to move into Etsy, Hip, and different things like that. Etsy takes a long time to build. I have about not many over 4,000 postcards. I only list maybe 10 a day on Etsy. And like you said, the fees, it's 20 cents for 4 months. So if you put 100 cards up there, you get every 4 months for the fees of the $20. But there's no store charge. You just pay the flat 20 cents. Now there is a final value fee and stuff like that with it. But Etsy and Hip together are paying for themselves now, and with some extra order to reinvest in the business. And I use a lot of that money to buy postcards or stuff I need or whatever in there. But it's not like eBay. The running average is about 80% of my sales, cards that sell, is on eBay, 15% on Etsy, 5% on Hip. So I focus a lot on eBay. I do put the cards up on Etsy. It's taken a long time, a couple of years or so. It's just a different clientele, but I'm not worried. It is paying for itself. If it wasn't, then I would probably close the store. Now my toys, I did put a whole bunch of vintage collectibles and stuff into another store on Etsy a couple of years ago. It just didn't take off. It was eating me to death on the fees, like you said, and I moved everything off of there, brought it to the flea market, or put it on eBay. And I think the store's still there. I think there's only one item on there, just to keep it open. And I look at it, every day to see if something sells, because there's multiple quantity on there. But that's an example of it just didn't go. And Hip is Hip. It's a micro niche site, and there's no management really of it, and it just goes. But it is paying for the thing. So, but I do not recommend Etsy to be the place to sell your postcards when you first start, because you have to have something else to really carry you through the building of that site. And a lot of people on Etsy will are selling digital postcards. They'll make copies of postcards and stuff like that. So that kind of ruins it sometimes on there. They say they enhance them and stuff, but just look out for, make sure you're buying a real postcard instead of a digital if that's what you want over there. But it is a crafty place. Etsy's it's easy to list. I can list 2 or 3 cards to the time it takes on eBay. They don't have all the item specifics and stuff. Make sure you get the shipping put together right though. Anybody's got any questions about that, I can always send them what I have set up. The next viewer comment I got, and this was about the plastic chrome video I did. If you haven't watched that video, go watch it, because there's a lot of plastic chrome postcards out there. And I found what I could about the company, but I didn't find as much about the process. And this viewer said the same thing that basically I was thinking as well. He says, I don't think plastic chrome adds any value. I don't think that plastic is supposed to come off. So there was one card that the plastic, they use a laminate on their plastic chrome process, and it was coming off like when you buy an iPhone, you peel the plastic off. It was just hanging there, and I actually peeled it off in the video because it just looked better. And I don't think the plastic is supposed to come off. I think it was gimmicky. Probably. It was a gimmicky way to make the photo more glossy. He might be right there. If I had a card with the plastic coming off, I would just peel it away. Otherwise, it comes across as a defect. Yeah, and it's ugly. I think with the laminate on there, it looked uglier than when I took the laminate off. But he said it was pretty cool to learn a little bit about it, though. So I had the history for the company. I didn't really know the process about it. I didn't know really the values. We looked at that, but I'm with him on this. That's why I put this comment up there. Is I don't think it really adds a lot of value. I don't think plastic chrome is top shelf postcards, but there are some really cool ones. Now with the scanners putting those plastic chrome postcards in there, I I had a question about, does that scanner still work with the plastic chrome? Yes, it does. I haven't had too much of a problem. If you put a postcard in a plastic sleeve through the scanner, sometimes you're going to get a glare. It's not going to look as good, so I always make sure they're out of the sleeves. But a lot of people ask me, what's better, camera or scanner? I did a whole video. It's got the what's sold and stuff special topic in there. But I spent 10 minutes with a camera, see how many cards I do, and I did 10 minutes with a scanner. Now, I did speed it up in the video, so you don't have to watch it for 20 minutes in there. But this video right here, I break down the whole camera versus scanner and the quality of the pictures between the scanner too. So check that video out. That's all I got for today, and I'll catch you on the next one.